And we're joined on the phone today by Russ Giguere from the band The Association. He's got a new book out. It's called Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits. Russ, how you doing today?
Hey, Dustin. Good. Excellent.
It's an honor to be speaking with you. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
Well, let's talk a bit about the new book you've got out here, Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits. Can you tell the listeners a bit about the new book?
Well, it's basically the story of the association, how it started, how the rehearsals 5 months before we performed in front of anyone, and stories of some of the concerts we did in various places, and mainly, I'll tell you, I got so used to reading. I read a book one time about bands that got together, and there was not an iota of truth in the book. Everything was just made up. So I wanted to really straighten things out and get some truth happening.
Well, and the association came together, during a time that, was such important for music, a lot happening in the country in general. So this is, definitely an interesting story that deserves to be told. Yeah,
I tell you, it was, people would say, well, what makes you think you're going to do it? Well, we stood a good, we were intelligent young men. We all had a work ethic that was bound in steel. And we gave ourselves a year. We gave ourselves 2 years to a top 40 hit. Within a year and a half, we had a top 10. So we were lucky. We were very lucky, and we worked real hard to get what we got.
Well, and again, the new book is out now. Along Comes the Association, and Russ, your style at that time was really different as well than a lot of other groups. With the harmonies you guys had, and pretty much everyone in the band could be the lead singer. That was something you really didn't see a lot then.
Well, we all sang. We all did. That's the way we picked our music. Music that would suit that. It would fit that. It was natural for us. So we had several guys who would sing lead, and it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you, I enjoyed even the rehearsals were great fun. And then when we made it, I was just thrilled to be performing concerts all over the United States. It was incredible. I mean, it moved very quickly. I'll tell you, guys, we went from on the road to and just barely making it by to really doing major dates. It was great. It was great for us. It was great for me.
Yeah, speaking of major dates, I got to ask you about kicking off the Monterey Pop Festival. Did you have any idea that show would be considered as important as it is all these years later?
Not really. It was great fun for me. I remember I met a lot of people. It was we opened the show, and it was great fun. It was one of the few times that we were in such a rush in those days. We would do a show, we just pack up and leave for the next show. When we did the Monterey Pop Festival, we opened the show, we stayed for all 3 days and all 3 nights. So we got a chance to see everyone that played the show, and it was great fun for us. Jimi Hendrix, I met the first meal. I was standing in line with Jimi Hendrix. I didn't even know, I had never heard of him. I didn't know who he was. He was just a nice gentleman. And we just had small talk. He just blew me away when I saw him a couple of nights later. It was just, and that was just a trio, and it was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. It was just a great experience overall.
Well, Russ, I know you left the association for a few years. Eventually, you came back. The band, they've really been touring, in one facet or another, since day one, it seems.
Well, we got back together in 80. I was with them from 80 till 2013. I retired in December, I think, was our last date that I did with the band. The band still, last year we did 33 concerts. This year we'll do over 60. So, the 30 is a low year, 60 is a bad year. But the band is still touring. So we got still two of the original members, Jules, our lead guitarist, and writer and singer, and Jim, also a writer and singer and player. Jim Yester sang lead on Long Goes Mary. He's still with the band, so it's still 6 guys. It takes 6 guys to do all the vocals. So our drummer has been with us since about '85. Our bass player is Larry's brother, Del Ramos, and it's incredible. They still sound really well. They will still sing really well. I see a show or two a year when they play locally. So it's still a great band.
Yeah, definitely. And, the music you guys created and all the hits, I mean, you still hear them on the radio. They played at weddings. I mean, it's got to be a great feeling, knowing the legacy that you created. Oh,
I'll tell you, it's thrilling, guy. It's thrilling. I was, as I said, we would have continued on if we had just had a top 40 hit, but we were lucky. Our first national hit I think was number 6. It was Long Goes Mary, and then we had our next hit went to number 1, Cherish. So we've always been thrilled and delighted. It's a major thing. It's always been a great experience doing concerts. My favorite, although I love working in the studio, it's still my favorite was always doing shows for audiences. And we played most of the major venues in the United States and Canada and Western Europe.
Wonderful. Russ, again, the book looks great, and I'm a huge fan of yours. It's been an honor speaking with you today.
Cool. It was just an attempt to get truth out. I read so much bull about the band, and as I said, I read books where there wasn't a shred of truth in the whole book. So this is the truth.
Well, it's again an honor speaking with you. Thank you so much, Russ.
My pleasure, Dustin. I hope you have a good one.
And again, that was the one and only Russ Giguere from The Association, and his new book, Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits, is available now.